Hello and good afternoon everyone, Philip Norton here from Norton Trading, and today we're going to take a look at TNDM. I want to actually take a look today at a lot of the technicals going back all the way back into May to really see what's happened with this stock over time. I know a lot of my subscribers that follow TNDM have made quite a bit of profit off this, some even holding from the single digits, only to watch their profits kind of disappear, either some of them or most of them, over the last several weeks as the stock has really pulled back quite a bit. And I think understanding the technicals, and I think understanding how the technical trading of this stock has gone will give you a good fundamental understanding what to watch for, not only with TNDM in the future, but also with other stocks that you trade, and how you could have seen a better place to really take profits or to watch for what's coming next. So first, let's take a look at really how this technical trading has gone over the last several months, and then what we can expect from here. So taking a look at the technicals, and more specifically, I want to talk about technical style that is known as trend trading. Now, the common rule of trend trading is that you buy on the third tap of a trend line. So if you're going to draw a trend line, you're usually going to find a low point, a pullback, a high, is where you're going to start your line. So if we start the line here right before this big push, we jumped up 20-30% in one day. So if you start at the bottom of that, and then you push it through the first pullback. So here in May, you would have drawn this trend line. You would have said, all right, this is where we started our big move up, and then this was the bottom of our first pullback. So in May, you would have drawn the bottom of that line through the bottom of the first pullback and out. So so imagine none of these other candles exist. It's May 29th, you've got this big pullback here, and you draw the trend line. And of course, as you're drawing trend lines, erasing them, drawing new ones, because the low constantly changing, and so you're always kind of drawing them. But once you draw it, you kind of leave it there until something tells you that trend line's not good, right? So at the moment, we would have drawn this long trend line out, kind of forecasting where we think this is going to run to. So the 2 points don't really tell you that's a good buying opportunity. There are other technical indicators technical traders will use to buy in, might have given you a better buy-in lower on. But if you're a trend trader, in which a lot of people are, it's kind of the most simple form of trading and short-term swing trading, is you wait for that third confirmation. You've drawn a line from the start of your run through the first pullback, and you wait for that second pullback that confirms the trend line. And that would have happened all the way up here at August 8th. So as this is running up, it pulls back and it hits this trend line, and that is your buy point. And that is where a lot of the swing traders, the technical traders, would have got into this stock. And you actually can see what goes on with the stock and the change of the stock when all of those swing traders, all those technical traders jump into the stock, right? Because from the bottom of here, we no longer run along this trend line. We've now created this whole new trend line that's rising at a much faster pace, right? So you can just easily see here of us not only shooting off that trend line for the third time of all the people that bought in, that saw that confirmation, but then of course we just continue up at a much more extended pace. So buying is really, really pulled in. Demand is raising through the roof because we have all of these, swing traders, short-term traders wanting to buy into the stock as well. Plus, of course, anyone that got in early, you're not selling. You're holding on to the stock. If you haven't broken trend, why would you get out? So the stock raises and raises and raises really fast. And we continue. Every time we get extended a little bit, have a pullback. And then we have this last little run up before we change trend. Now at the top of this run, we have something that's actually called an island reversal. It is not an extremely common candlestick pattern, but when you see it, it is one of the most reliable reversal patterns there are. And what makes it the island is that you have this gap up, and then the next day you have a gap down around it, right? So you can shoot up, gap down. Those gaps never close, thus the name island reversal. So we, of course, have that gap down the next day. You do see that it kind of pulled back quite a bit, but then was bought up a little bit. So the next day, the next candle, though we have that island reversal, isn't extremely bearish by any means. Like I said, you do have that pullback and a lot of selling in the morning, but then it gets bought up through the day. But of course, if you are a trader, you would see the island reversal and you would see what's going on and you would look for confirmation. That is your big signal. Hey, it might be time to get out of the stock. It might be time to sell. And so what you would do then as the island reversal is the next day you would wait for the break of that low, right? If you have a new lower low the next day, that's the sell point. And of course, that's what we saw, right? As it broke there, the floodgates opened and the stock really started to run down, and a lot of sellers. And so most of the sellers at this point are going to be the sellers that just recently got in when we had that third confirmation, the touch of that line. So we get a lot of sellers there that see the technicals, see the island reversal, get the confirmation, start to get out. So over the next day and a half, we have a whole bunch of selling. It pulls all the way back down to VWAP, almost back to the original long-term trend line. And then we do find some support there. We do find some buying at that long-term trend line, and we pull back up and we start this next little run up. We can tell now in hindsight that this run up is actually a dead cat bounce. But at the time when this is really going on, you can't tell that. You don't know if something is a dead cat bounce or if it's more of a bullish pattern or if it's just a pullback to the long-term trend line and then to keep pushing higher. So you really have to watch. Now, once it fails to make a new high, so we got up to 49 and then we started to pull back again. Now what you're really watching for is this going to be more of a W, right? Like an ABCD pattern? Are we going to bounce off the trend line, pull back again, and then break 50, right? And I talked about this in some of my early videos as we were getting this pullback, is that you were looking for it to hold the long-term trend line and then push back above 50. And then, of course, if you broke 50, that would be that breakout. You'd be looking for it to run to new highs and go even higher. But, of course, that didn't happen. We bounced up, we pulled back down, and when we got to that trend line, we did not find support. We broke the trend line. That, again, is a big sell signal. It's time to get out because we've now broken the long-term trend line. And so we know that this is not a bullish pattern, a W pattern, but instead it is a dead cat bounce, and we are moving lower. So we're going to get some selling there. People that have been in the trade for a while, either taking profits, getting out, people that really understand the technicals, see that break of that trend line, and they get out. And that's why we've got, decent amount of selling over the last several days as we've moved a little bit lower and things haven't quite, been as good. As we ran up into the long-term trend, every time there was any bit of selling, that was always met with buying, right? We always bought all the dips. And now it seems to kind of be the other way, right? Anytime there's a little bit of a bounce, it gets sold off, right? People are looking for opportunities to get out of the stock at the moment. So what are we looking at now? Well, since we broke the trend line, we are looking that it is more like the stock is now downtrending as opposed to looking to move higher and break new highs. However, while there has been selling, there hasn't been a lot of shorting of the stock yet. There definitely would be some off the break of the trend line, but most of that, again, just like we saw before, is going to happen on that third confirmation. So all of the technical traders out there that are watching this stock are drawing this line, right? They're drawing it from the high through the top of that dead cat bounce, and they're waiting. They're waiting for us to get back up to this upper trend line, and that is where you short the stock. I want to put out there that I do like kind of the bullish bounce that we had today. We had a lot of buying here. We didn't quite get all the way down to the 100 SMA, which I thought we would hit 30. It was right at 30, good support at 30 plus the 100 SMA would be a good place to bounce off of. We actually got bought up before even getting that low, which is nice to see. If we are able to break really the high of this last green candle here, which is, upper 35, 36, if we are able to break above that, you really would kind of get confirmation on this run up. And so that's what I'm really looking to see over the next couple of days is, do we get a run back up to this trend line? That's what I'm kind of anticipating over the next couple of days. Now, the market has been bleeding quite a bit. So if that bleeding continues, you definitely could see some market-wide selling that might inhibit that a little bit. If we get a little bit of pullback from the bleeding tomorrow in the markets, it definitely could get some continuation from the buying that we saw today, and that could start that run back up to the trend line. However, I did mention today on Stock Twits that once we get to this trend line, it really needs to be something on everyone's chart to watch, because as mentioned, trend traders are watching for this and a place to short it. And so even if you are someone that is looking for a place to take profits, that is definitely a good place to take profits. However, if you don't want to get out of the stock, I know a lot of people want to hold this over a year, tax reasons. Maybe some people want to hold the stock the next 5 to 10 years because you love the fundamentals of the company. You don't have to sell the stock at that trend line. Is what you also can do, and another thing that a lot of traders do, is to buy puts. As you pop up back up to this trend line, you can go ahead and buy some puts. Buy puts for the ride back down, and then they're kind of protective, right? If we do break the trend line and you have a breakout and you run higher, okay, you sell your puts, you lost a little bit of money there, but your stock has gone up, so overall you're green. If the stock does continue to fall back down, your puts are going to bring in some profits, and then you can go ahead and after those puts, double up, triple up, give you some good money, you go ahead and flip those and buy either more shares or you flip them over and buy long-term calls. So it is a nice little defensive way to trade a stock like this that maybe you want to hold long-term. You like the stock as an investment, but of course the technicals tell you that it's most likely heading lower. All right, everyone. Sorry that was a little long-winded today on TNDM, but I really wanted to take a look at the technicals of this chart because they really are very pretty. Right? It's straight out of the textbook what this stock has been doing and how you can watch this. And so that way, as we continue moving forward with TNDM, you know some good sell points, maybe places to buy some defensive puts, but also for as you buy into new stocks and you're watching those, and if you happen to find yourself another little golden goose like TNDM and make great profits, what you're watching for with that trend reversal. All right, thanks everyone. Have a good evening.